Hello everyone, this is Mei Liu. Welcome to Mei Wei Talk Show. This is a Friday again. So today I'm going to introduce a special guest to join my show. His name is Pat Hodges. Welcome. Hi.
Thank you.
Recently we have finished a movie together and you play the role of a god. Yeah, I wanted to know how do you feel about playing the role of God in this movie? Phoebe
Well,
Sack.
that is not the part I would have picked. I had no idea. Uh, Never been in a movie in my life,
Yeah.
and it was very interesting process. I've always wanted to be in a movie, at least one, since I was a kid, but I could not reconcile that with ministry. Back when I was growing up, they didn't exactly go together and that kind of thing, but. It was a very interesting experience, very eye-opening, very educational. I thoroughly enjoyed the process. I especially enjoyed all the background, behind-the-scenes stuff, even probably more than anything else.
Mm.
And getting to work with you on it, as well as Vincent DePaul, that was extraordinary. I met some amazing people on there, the other actors, and in the midst of it, got to minister to several of them, and it was an incredible experience.
Thank you, thank you. Just a little bit background about this movie, Phoebe's Echo. We just finished filming in Dallas in February, and we already take it to the Oscar viewing luxury gala, and we did receive the media interviews and promotion of this movie. And now we are going to take this movie to the Cannes Film Festival. We're going to have a big event, a gala event hosting in Cannes Film Festival as well, and we already applied for the screening. We're going to do the premiere over there. So it's very exciting to see all of you in Cannes in France. Remember the date that we're going to showcase our movie is in May 20th. Now, go back to your story. You have been doing the ministry life for many years. Can you tell me more about it? How do you
Yeah,
start?
I was raised in a denomination that uh, was very fundamental, and by that I mean they did not they believed in salvation, but it didn't go much further than that, and that kind of thing, uh, water baptism and the normal stuff. But we came to make a long story short, we came to a place in our lives, my family did, where they knew that God had a lot more than what we'd been taught. And so the Lord began to open our eyes to some things about the gifts of the Spirit and present day ministry of the Holy Spirit and this kind of thing. And at the time, I was very suicidal and had already tried it several times
Oh,
unsuccessfully. At one point, I actually put a gun to my head trying to commit suicide. The gun malfunctioned, and I remember at that point looking to God and saying, Lord, I can't even kill myself. What have you got? And it was shortly after that he began to reveal his place, his self to me in a very real, dramatic way. And he literally walked me out of that suicidal depression. He began to take me and show me exactly how the cycle of depression worked, how to work my way out of it, how to, what the word says, cast down the vain imaginations or cast down thoughts that are contrary to the word of God. And he literally began to systematically walk me out of that depression.
wow,
And I
that's
was a teenager at the time.
oh.
Um, and then the gifts of the Spirit started manifesting in my life. And the main one was the prophetic ministry. And I was starting to have visions,
Mm.
um, open visions. The first open vision I had was Joel chapter 2. I'd never read the book of Joel. I didn't even know it was there. And the book was really it was something I just passed over, never read it.
Mm.
But the Lord took me into that second chapter of Joel in an open vision. It was like I was actually there watching all this unfold. And so then I began to see into people's lives, what was going on in their lives, what was going on in their hearts, and this kind of stuff, and began to see into the demonic realm quite a bit.
Mm.
Um, and that continued for about 5 years. And I basically said, Lord, if that's all there is to this, I really don't want just to see in the demonic realm. And right after that, he opened up the angelic realm to me, and I started having angelic visitations, which scared me more than demonic.
Mm.
Uh, and so um, when they first started coming, I mean, I was seeing them like flesh and blood kind of deal, like you and I standing together.
Oh,
It was that real. And
who did you see? Like a fresh? Like,
at one point, I ran into Michael, and another point, I had a visitation from Gabriel.
oh.
Um, I was really at the time pressing into the Lord. I was in Bible school at the time,
Mm.
and I began to have this on a pretty regular basis. I only saw Michael once, and I only saw Gabriel once, but numerous times there was angelic activity around me. Um, Actually had one or two of them showed up. Me and my roommate were caught in a flash flood in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And two of these looked like 12-year-old boys showed up in a massive rainstorm. I mean, it was flooding. The car had stalled out. I was driving my mom's car. It had stalled out,
Mm.
and the water was rising. And all of a sudden, these two boys walk up to the window, and I knew what was going on because they didn't have a drain, or they did not have a drop of water on either one of them.
Mm.
And they said, "Can we help?" I said, "Yeah, you can get in the back of the car and push the car to the top of the hill." I was looking at a hill in front of me, and they literally did. This literally happened. My roommate was with me when this happened, and from the time I stepped out of the vehicle to thank him, both them and the bicycles they were on at the bottom of the hill were gone that quick. I mean, it was just that fast.
Mm.
And my roommate went into about 3 days of shock. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat. It shook him up so bad. And I've had other angelic encounters where people have been with me when it's happened and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it started a long ministry uh, at 17 years old was
Yeah.
when I started in the ministry. And that's been what, 46, 47 years now, something like that.
Mm.
And through it, I have been around the world. I've been to about 23 countries.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go to Brazil. That'll be number 24.
Okay.
So,
So is it because you have those gifts by seeing God or communicate with God, so you got a call and then you decided to be a ministry?
no, actually, I realized I was called to the ministry when I was 6 years old.
Oh, like younger than you
Nobody,
can.
nobody told me. I just woke up one day and realized it.
Oh, so you still,
And
I think that's still you got a call from them, and so that's
yeah,
what make you decided to
yeah,
be
yeah.
in.
Any time we have a call to ministry, or other callings, could be medical, could be whatever. If we're called to function in government of some sort, the Lord always equips us with what we need, as He's equipped you. He's given you talents in
Mm.
the movie industry. He's given you gifts. He's given you abilities that not everybody possesses, and that's how He helps equip us. Um, and so we have a special grace on us to be able to do these things. At the same time, I don't consider myself anybody special. I consider myself what should be a normal Christian. Um, I think a lot of Christians live substandard in a very uh, in a way that they're just going about normal life. They're not really pushing into God, pressing into God as they should. Because I found out a long time ago when you press into God, there's always more.
Yes. I've learned that you had a very unusual experience, that you really had a talk with God and when you were sick, right? Can you share this experience with us? Thank you.
Yes, I can. Um, what had happened was I had gotten sick. I had um, this was September 12th of 2021, and I had gotten up to take a shower and was feeling very weak, and I almost passed out in the shower. And I thought, my wife wasn't home at the time, and I thought, well, I'm not doing so well. I know I'm probably got the COVID because this is when COVID was going crazy. And I thought to myself that I'll just lay down and wait till she gets home. Then I'll get up and take a shower. Well, I got up and took a shower. My stomach was hurting really, really bad. Now, I have had appendicitis before, but this was not appendicitis. I knew what appendicitis was. And so I went in to the bathroom and passed out on the floor. And when I woke up, I was in a pool of blood laying on the floor. I was too weak to get up. I could not. So I literally crawled to the bed.
Mm.
And Misty called 911. They rushed me to the hospital. The next thing I know is they are prepping me for emergency surgery. What had happened was I had the COVID, but also my colon literally exploded. And that sent me into sepsis shock.
Mm.
With sepsis shock, your entire body is poisoned.
Oh.
And I was in the process of dying. And they were trying to do emergency surgery on me. Uh, it failed eventually, and over the next couple of days, so they had to go in and do it again. And at that point, they had to give me a colostomy. Um, and then um, I was on Dilaudid and I was on fentanyl for an extended period of time because I had complications. After I got um, healed up a little bit, physical therapy came in, and I got out of bed too soon, and it literally tore all the staples out. And so when that happens, they don't put you back together again. You have to heal from the inside out. So I spent the next 4 months in the hospital bed, and more complications rose, and I wound up being in bed for about a year.
Mm.
And then came time for another surgery. They had to do a series of surgeries. I went through this over the next 2.5 years. I went through a total of 5 surgeries, all intestinal,
Mm.
all of it. It was a nightmare. It was a living nightmare for myself. It was a living nightmare for my wife. I would actually glove up, what they call glove up, put the gloves, surgical gloves on, and help the nurses.
Mm.
And because of the complications, there were times they didn't know how to put the wound back on to where it would not cause more damage because of some complications. I don't really want to get in too much into graphics on it. And so the Lord began to speak to me and show me how to literally devise or design what needed to be done so that things would work properly as far as the wound vac goes, as well as all my dressings. And I would sit there and tell the nurses, here's what you got to do. And now I am higher than a kite on Dilaudid
Mm.
and the other medications they had on me. I mean, they they had me on antibiotics going into both arms 24/7. I was in ICU for weeks
Wow.
during this time because I was dying. They told my wife I wasn't going to make it. And so in that process, I literally left my body and wound up going to heaven.
Wow.
And I was surrounded by a bright, bright rose gold colored light. God began to speak to me audibly, and he asked me, the first question he asked me was, "Do I have your attention?" I said, "Yes, sir, you do."
Yeah.
Because he had been dealing with me to get back in ministry because I left the ministry for 13 years because of some reasons. He says, you've got to go back and accomplish what I've told you to do in the very beginning. And he began to talk to me about people in my life. He began to talk to me about a wife, certain friends of mine. I had been dealing with a lot of rejection in my life, so I kept everybody at a very distant relationship. It wasn't good.
Mm,
I wasn't treating my wife right, and I wasn't treating people right. I mean, I wasn't abusive to her, but it just wasn't the kind of marriage I should have had. And the Lord said, "I'm calling you back to ministry, and don't wait till you get healed up to start." And so it seemed like this monologue. I mean, he did all the talking, I did all the listening. It
mm.
went on for a long time. And then I remember coming back into my body at some point, and they called my wife the next morning. We don't understand how he's still alive, but he made it.
So I'm curious, when you had a conversation with God, what kind of environment you were in? Did you actually see his face? Or what does he look like?
No, I saw his form, but I did not see his face.
Mm,
It's like the best way I can describe it. We on Earth have this much that we can see visually as far as light spectrum.
mm,
Okay, but when you're in heaven, you've got so much more that you can see. When you're in heaven, you can actually see light, or you can see sound and hear light. I've talked to physicists that understand this in theory, but they've never experienced this. When you're in heaven, you experience that. Everything in heaven is made out of light. In Genesis, God said, when he started creation, he said, "Let there be light."
yeah,
Well, everything is made out of light.
yeah.
Okay. Um, the only thing is, in heaven, there is no time. So here on earth, everything is actually frozen light, what we call frozen light, because it's in time. When it gets locked out of time, this is what happened to Jesus after the transfiguration, why he was able to walk through walls, why he was able to appear and disappear in front of his disciples and other people, and this kind of stuff, because he was no longer locked in time as we understand time. He was actually in two places once. He was here on earth, but also his body was in eternity. Okay. And the word says that when the rapture happens, we will be transformed just as he was. And so with this, with this, all this light around you, everything gives off light. There is no reflective light up there. Everything gives everything from they got trees, they got grass, they got streets, they had everything. The streets look like golden glass, is what they look like. And the people up there are living more alive than they ever are here. Um, you have the ability to go from point A to point B as fast as you can think, and you have all this stuff going on up there. People are not bored; they're not up there playing harps. Um,
So, excuse me, are
yeah.
these people you met, you said you see in the heaven, are they
Mhm.
like a modern looking or like old year looking?
They all appear to be about in their most of them um, do appear to be about in their middle 30s, early 30s. They're dressed in robes and stuff. They're not dressed in t-shirts, and they're dressed in clothing of light. That's what they're dressed in. And this clothing of light, I mean, what you wore at the Oscars. is very, very plain compared to what you're wearing up there. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That kind of clothes that I was wearing, like royal
Yeah, but I
priesthood,
mean,
that's
it
that's
doesn't
like
look like that. It doesn't look
okay.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that would be very conservative towards what they wear up there.
Yeah.
What they wear up there is absolutely stunning. Um, they've got clothing up there that looks like it's made out of millions and millions of diamonds, is what it looks like.
Made
It's
of diamond?
got this, yeah, it looks like that. It's got this shine to it. It looks like it's made out of millions of diamonds that all this refractive light coming off of it.
Hmm.
It's amazing. And when you turn, all the colors of the rainbow and many more colors that you don't see here on Earth, they come out of those garments.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's not made of a fabric.
Yeah, it's not made of fabric like what we have here.
Okay. So like a diamond, like shiny materials.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, all of them are wearing the
Hmm.
same. Okay. So
Yeah.
they're wearing the robes. Robes.
Yeah, they're a type of robe. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Okay. Do you see any God with like angels with wings or any people like that?
Yes, there are angels with wings, there are angels without wings. Okay.
Okay.
And there are two different classes. There are two different classes of angels there. The ones with wings and without. And these angels they're not short, they're not small, they're not naked babies with wings.
Uh,
These things are incredibly, I mean, they look like Arnold Schwarzenegger at his best. I mean, it's incredible.
interesting.
They've got, they're just huge, massive uh, angelic beings.
Huge. How big the wing
Yeah.
you
Um,
see it?
I've seen angels anywhere from 20 feet high to, well, like when I had those two show up. They were in disguise, of course, when they showed up to push the vehicle out of the flash flood. They showed up like two 12-year-old boys. I saw one walk into a service one time. He looked like a normal man to me and looked like a normal man to everybody else, and gave a prophetic word over that area where we were living in that church. And after the service, he literally disappeared right in front of everybody. He was an angel. That's what he was.
Oh, okay. Do you get to talk to any of them?
These angels,
Yes.
there are times I've had conversations. Um, there, I had well, I had one time appear in the hospital room, and the doctors were really trying to figure out what to do with some complications that had taken place. And the angel walked up to me and said, "Tell the doctors this." And he's using medical terminology, and even though he's using medical terminology, I understood exactly what he was saying,
Yeah.
what he meant. Um, and so I called my wife over and I said, "Misty," I said, "this angel just came up and told me what to do." I said, "I'm trying to figure out how to get across these doctors that this angel came in and told me what to do concerning my case." And about that time, there was a Christian nurse there. And all of a sudden, she looks towards the ceiling and she just stops and says, "You know what? We need to do this and this and this and this." And it was a word for word what the angels got done telling me.
Mm.
And I told her later what happened, and she just like fell apart. She was like, "Holy cow." I said, "That's the only way. This is what." And Misty was there, and Misty said, "You said out of your mouth exactly what the angel had told Pat." And
Mm.
it was the answer that we needed.
Okay. And those experiences really made you change the view of the value of your life, right?
Yeah.
I believe.
Um,
Yeah.
there's been several changes. Number one, I'm no longer afraid of death.
Mm.
And number two, you start to realize what's really important in life, what's not.
Yeah.
People are important.
Right.
People are way more important than what I realized. And I learned this. Um, at one point, Jesus said in the Gospels, "If you've done it to the least of these, you've done it unto me." And what he means by that is how you treat one another is how you treat God. What your attitude towards other people is your attitude towards God. Um, and it really changed my perspective on things. Um, I literally, the Bible says, if you know the truth will set you free. All I got was truth without anger, without frustration, without shame, without any kind of attitude.
Right.
God just spoke truth to me. No condemnation with it whatsoever. And I didn't realize as I was sitting under that, I was getting healed and delivered of some deep areas in my life that I really needed healing and deliverance of. And the big one was rejection, the fear of rejection. I suddenly realized that even though I may not agree with people, they're not the enemy. We may have different viewpoints on politics or whatever, but they're not my enemy. Um, and I've learned this: hurting people will hurt people. A lot of times, people aren't going out of their way trying to hurt us. What they're doing, they're just living out of their own pain. Is what they're doing, and it's really caused me to shift my focus on what life is about. It's caused me to shift my focus um, and not be so concerned about myself and look into my stuff all the time, but to be able to reach out to others and be able to see them grow and mature in the Lord and get healed and delivered. And that's what life's about.
I totally agree, and that's also giving me the inspiration of making this movie Phoebe's Echo. When I was heard it that is actually based on the true story, it was initially a ghost story, and then
Yeah.
because I got inspiration from the God, and I also made some revise on that
Mhm.
story, and that made this script by even though putting those conversation between me and Lisa and God. So I think that just also another way to prove that the God will give you the wisdom if you follow your heart and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen to His guidance. It gave me so much inspiration and ideas by
Yeah.
making this movie happen and and especially putting the right people together.
Hmm.
That is really a miracle.
That's important.
Yeah, yeah, especially when independent movie living on such a limited budget to make it happen
Yeah.
in such a short time. We get
Yeah.
it all done in a week, and that is a miracle to me. I never did that in my lifetime before. So
No.
yeah, so it's very happy to share your story with public. I'm very happy to have you to be on board of a Superstar Art Foundation because we are a nonprofit organization that has a mission of helping artists to be successful. And
Yeah.
that's why we're doing the independent movies to show the art and the humanitarian movies. And
Right.
also, yeah, we have some other programs to help artists to be successful, like training programs. And this is one of our biggest mission. We want to do this together. And
Hmm.
we're going to make the training class of acting or drama class. We're going to make the Bible story and put together into the shows and the movies so that more people will have a chance to learn, get the guidance through
Yeah.
this, yeah, the form of art. Okay. So I'm very glad to have a chance to hear your story in my show, and thank you for spending time with us. I wish you have a wonderful weekend. See you next time.
All right. God bless you.